Today's episode is sponsored by Billy Keel's Advisory Services. If you want to learn more about how to make your 99 optional, just go to makeitoptional.com. Once again, that's makeitoptional.com.
Helping you build freedom without losing your edge. This is the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels.
So one of the reasons that I really love being able to host this podcast is because I get to connect with absolutely stellar leaders from all around the world. Today is absolutely no different because today, hold on everybody. This is going to be so amazing. I'm just telling you from the beginning. You know what? Today's guest, he started his corporate career and it was a corporate career that spanned 2+ decades. And if you're watching the video version, you're gonna be like, nah, not even possible. How could this guy have worked for 2+ decades in corporate life? He started in international marketing communications. He then developed his career and had a number of different types of roles, including strategy and consulting for really globally recognized brands. You know what he did? He took that skill set and he realized that, now he has a passion for showing service-based solopreneurs how to create offers that convert. And he's brought all that corporate experience and now he's brought it and he's helping individuals be able to make their businesses even more productive. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome to today's conversation, the founder of Growth Ignited, none other than the man himself, Scott Bryan. Scott, welcome to the show, man.
Wow, what an intro, Billy. I feel like I'm getting ready for a prize fight.
No.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man. It is, man. I'm so excited to have the Going Long family know more about you, how all of the experience that you've had, how you're now leveraging that experience to help others, to help them realize their dreams. So, and I know I've just kind of given my own little interpretation of your journey. But what I'd love for you to do, Scott, is can you talk to us about your journey? Talk to us about maybe some of the major decisions that you made along the way. And then if it's okay with you, we'll see where you and I take the conversation from there.
Definitely. So I'll give you the high level quick one, and then you can poke holes where you want to go. Right. Cool. During college, university, as we call it over here, 4-year college, got into the government. So I started with the public sector. The jobs were interesting, but it was dry, too slow a pace. And I felt I wanted to contribute more. So I said, okay, I'm going private sector. So I literally drove out in my car, packed my car, had no place to live, moved out. I went to Toronto. I was living in Ottawa at the time and started talking to recruiters, ended up getting a job at a big consulting company. Finally broke into private. And that was the pace I was looking for. Okay. And I was in that for a while, doing the whole corporate ladder climb. And you know how that is, Billy. Yeah. So that doesn't really fulfill your soul too much. But the exposure was crazy. That's where I developed really all my skills, understanding clients, and also understanding, to me, what I value, what was important. And then I got to a point where I started working in more boutique firms. So went smaller. Now, this was cool because I took all the stuff I learned in big corporate, and now I became kind of the lead guy at the smaller places where the big guys weren't really giving me a chance at that point. I'd gone back and gotten that chance to take on leadership roles. But what was interesting there was I was now managing really big teams. So I got way more into team management. The travel exploded. I'm sure this is very familiar to you, but I think I was on the road every 2 weeks to the point where I'd get back with my luggage, open it up, just take out the soiled garments, wash them, leave everything else, put it back in its slot, hop on a plane. I basically came back to see my barber. We had a relationship at that point, so that's how much I was traveling. But I realized I'm not getting the stability I want. The lifestyle is kind of missing. Okay. And that's when I then decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. And I jumped out from there. And the first one I did, element of luck and focus. But I really went hard, and 7 months in, while being generally clueless to how businesses is supposed to be run as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, I was really dialed in on the sales and obviously leveraging my networks as best I can. And that allowed me to get acquired within 7 months. Wow. And this wasn't me having some fancy office or anything like that. I was working out of this dungy 1-bedroom. I had a coffee table, no computer desk. I drilled a keyboard tray into my coffee table. So when people would come by and sit to eat, they're like, why are there holes in the table? And then I pull out the keyboard, show them why, because that's where I'd work. That allowed me to get a company acquired. So after that, I was like, okay, I think I know what the guts are here. And the big focus was on sales. I went back to some other companies, did some work again in consulting, and that was all fantastic. But eventually my heart said, no, you've got to be doing your own thing. And, I went back, and here I am today.
Man, you know what? Being here today and sharing the story, there's a couple different ways that I would really like to share with the audience today. But you said something that a lot of people don't say. So I actually just want to start there. You said you got into starting your own business by luck and focus. Usually, there's this thought process that everybody has every single thing from A to Z or Z, however you feel the spirit take you today, that you have it all figured out, right? But it sounds like you led with luck and focus. Talk to us. Yeah. Break that down for us, man. How does that happen? Talk to us, just because I think I want to help to dispel the rumor that every single thing has to be planned out perfectly.
For sure. And just to clarify, the luck and focus came down to why I was successful, not necessarily why I decided to start it.
Gotcha.
So that wasn't necessarily luck. That was actually the whole corporate getting to me, and I felt I was in a toxic environment, and there was more to this, and I wanted that lifestyle alignment. Then the luck kicked in, because I was largely clueless, like, hey, how am I going to do this? But I was convinced I could figure it out. And the funny reason why that was, and this, I don't know how to word this, but I'll just say, I'll say it how I want to say it. I saw others doing it. I'm like, that person's not particularly smart. If they can do it, I can figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Like, if that guy's doing it, okay, let me research. This is a technical problem. I'll figure this out. So all I knew was, I think I'll focus on this aspect of what I'm going to do. And this was basically strategy. And then from there, I knew I could sell. So I'm like, all right, if I do the strategy, which I'm good at, and I could sell, stuff is going to come together. And the luck element was that past clients, networks I had, saw what I was doing, and opportunities started coming to me. People would send me an RFP, a public tender, request for proposal that I was a good fit for. And then I would try to partner with firms, and they all turned me down. Like, you're too small. When you have revenues, let us know. So I flipped it. I said to one of them, well, what if I write the proposal? This is my first big one. And if I win it, then you guys partner with me. Like, sure, if you want to do that, we'll do it. We'll take a cut of this. I'm like, yeah, you could take a big cut. It was a way in. It's no risk for them. And they thought I had no odds of winning this proposal. And we ended up beating out Deloitte, KPMG, all these guys, and I won it. And then I became the lead in the project, owned a relationship with the client, and I kept doing that. And that's what led this bigger firm to be like, the hell is this guy doing? We need him in-house. And then, that went that route. So the luck was, I shot my shot. When people said no, I tried another way. And then that became a yes. And then that became my go-to. That no gave me my go-to, my little angle in the market, which was to find partners that would not normally approach me and give them a unique angle as to why they might want to work with me. And that I can get them into certain, clients and things like that.
Yeah, I love that, man. So, you found where your specific angle or your niche was. You were able then to really develop that. But what I also hear you saying is it was really, you created your luck, and you also looked to solve a problem, not only for yourself, but for others. You took away or minimized the risk in saying, hey, look, if you don't want to partner with me, how about I do the work? When this happens, we'll both work together. Then I want to come back and work with you. So there's a brilliance in that, that I want to make sure that the Going Long family is tapped into. So if I take a step back, you gave us this really excellent idea of where you started, right? You started in a public sector. Then you realized that there was something missing. You were looking for the private sector. You went from private sector large, private sector small, had the opportunity to lead teams. And what was it about not each one of them, but what was it about the public sector role for you and your skill set that you realized, like, this is a good place to start. This isn't where I want to stay. But what was happening there for you?
The biggest thing, if I could say it most efficiently or economically with my words, was that I wasn't close enough to the problem getting my hands dirty. As a creative person, I need to be using my creativity. In the realm of business, depending on what industry you're in, often that just means how resourceful can you be, right? And with the public sector, because of bureaucracy and layers, I couldn't touch those problems enough, or was too slow to actually implement the solutions because there's so many hands in the pot. So I wanted to get closer to, I see something, I get creative, I solve it.
Okay.
And that got me in the private sector where they're like, if you can do it, we'll pay you. If you don't do it, you're gone.
Yeah.
I'm willing to take that risk.
Okay.
So that's what it was.
So Scott, is that something that you think that you recognized in yourself? And I mean the risk taking element and whatever that means to you, because risk is different. Like everyone gauges risk in a different way, but is that something that you've noticed in your trajectory of life, taking risk?
Definitely.
Or perceived risk?
Nobody has asked me this question before, so I want to think it through before I answer. But
yeah, sure.
The short answer, quick answer is yes. Maybe I didn't verbalize it in my head, but intuitively I knew that because I always saw it as, look, in life, I was generally, kind of behind and I wanted to catch up and I didn't want to do it at a slow pace. I'm like, I want it now. What can I do? So I had to take that risk. And funny enough, I didn't look at risk generally as what if I fail? I looked at risk as what if I miss this opportunity? Like this could be it. How can I make it? What needs to happen? So for me, the risk was by not doing it. I was always scared to death of being stuck somewhere where I didn't reach my potential. So that was the bigger risk for me then. I might go somewhere, I don't succeed, I get fired. Yeah, that could happen, but I'm the type of person, my back's against the wall, I'll figure it out. So my biggest risk was not tapping into my potential and getting the experience that I wanted. So those were so massive for me.
Okay. So that's helpful. So you start to understand more about yourself, right? And maybe this happens in the moment, maybe this happens after reflection. But I know that there's someone who's watching, who's listening today that has these like, all right, well, I feel like something is off. And so the part of your story is something that they can tap more into themselves. So that was the first part. Public sector to private sector, you felt like, hey, listen, I'm not close enough to the problem. I want to get closer to create a solution. Can you talk to us about what happened from corporate big to corporate small and what you recognize? I know you talked to us about some of the leadership opportunities, but what was then were you recognizing about yourself in making the big to small private organizations?
Yeah, so going to the small ones, some of the biggest parts, this is what ended up compelling me to even start my own thing, getting more specific on smaller companies. But what I loved was it allowed me to have more direct contact and more impact. So a lot of times when you're these big multinationals, you might do a great job, don't get me wrong. The whole team is involved, there's these big projects, but you're not always necessarily touching the client. You're not necessarily delivering that specific solution that they go, this really worked. Thank you so much, Scott. With the boutique smaller firms, I got to do that. So more client direct facing, not just part of the client's team, but the actual end client that's going to use a solution and benefit from it. We got that. And working with smaller teams. I mean, I still had to manage a floor that was generally pretty big, but I also had a more intimate like delivery group, and then bonds got stronger. So the biggest thing was one, getting closer to clients and their problems. So I had more impact.
Okay. And
the other thing was, while there still were some big teams, I had smaller groups where we're working on more of the same things. So our bonds got stronger. A lot of time in these big corporate, you could have a team or a small group, but it feels like a lot of times people are doing different stuff and have their silos of responsibility. So you're not always relating. We were doing the exact same thing. I just might have been doing it at a certain level that was slightly higher. So it just made things so relatable that we ended up even forming like friendships. Yeah. So that's kind of how I ended up, I'd say, experiencing, this different realm, if you will.
Okay. Well, and I love hearing that, because also there's this, there is the concept, right? When you're in the larger corporation, you really do, you live by specialization. So there are lots of silos. And so the closer that you get to the actual client challenge, the client issue, and being able to have a direct impact on the solution and seeing it through, some would say that can be risky too, right? Especially if you've lived in a big corporate most of your life. But there are I would say the chosen few that actually want to be close to the challenge and want to be able to, roll the sleeves up and be there and to help your client find the solution. So that then, it's really interesting that you've given us this trajectory. I think it helps us to understand more about your makeup and really where you want to add value and being able to have more impact. There's something that as we look back, because and I think you and I've talked about this. Like I'm a big as it related to corporate. Corporate was really good to me, and I was really good to corporate. So I'm definitely not an anti-corporate person. No, most people that are here are not. But I think a lot of times when we move to ownership or business ownership, there's a tendency to say all of the negative things that happen in corporate.
For sure.
But I'd love for you to focus on, because I know we're cut from a similar ilk in this respect, but can you talk to us about when you look overarching, like what were the most positive or critical skills, not positive skills, but critical skills that you believe you were able to improve, learn and or improve during your corporate experience, whether it be big or small?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I also want to give you kudos for your refreshing perspective on corporate, right? They're not all the devils. There's devils everywhere, right? They hide everywhere. And I think that we are quick to point fingers the second corporate does something bad that we might not necessarily do in other realms, but it's like everyone will screw you. It's just that corporate one gets more publicized. So I'm not a corporate hater. I wouldn't say I'm a corporate lover. I'm kind of neutral, but I'm blessed by my corporate experience.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
That's, I think, a nice pivot to say the skills that I learned. Some of them I didn't think I'd be learning, but one was disaster recovery. So when shit hits
break
the
that
fan,
one down. Yeah, break that one down.
how are you going to now recover, get things back on track with a clear plan and execute? So I happen to be in roles where we were trying to just maintain, fires would pop up. Now what do we do? So you had to be calm under pressure and recover. The other big thing was just being able to manage clients and expectations, which I feel is just the realm of consulting in general. But a lot of people don't know what that means when they hear that. Like, what exactly is managing expectations? It's a very ubiquitous term, right? What I learned was it's really about defining things clearly and tangibly and saying, okay, this is what success is going to look like, and giving an example, a scenario. And then you manage to that, because before this, the skill I had was, I've got these deliverables, these are tasks, let me go do them. Right. The client might not even want all those tasks. You've got to understand what's more important to them and what will they say is successful. You could nail all those tasks. One thing is missing, like, yeah, it wasn't a success. So you're missing alignment, right? So those things were massive for me. The client management, expectations, disaster recovery, and of course, sales. Because in corporate, if you're not selling, you're the first to get cut. And if you're on a team that has sales, even if you're not the salesperson, you've got to adopt a sales mentality. I did not understand that before. I thought, I'm back office. No. How is this going to help improve revenues in some capacity? Even if it means helping cutting costs, but you've got to think client-facing, revenues, company growth. So being exposed to different departments really helped me get an understanding of that and all the ways those different departments can actually help sales, which you wouldn't intuitively think. So I feel those are really strong skills that I was blessed that corporate put me in positions to learn.
Yeah. So, and when I think about, just managing client expectations, understanding disaster recovery and sales, which is, of course, in sales leadership is something that's very close to my heart. And it's one of those things that you mentioned. But if there are no sales, there are no problems to resolve. There are no resources to be able to go and help to solve a problem. And so it's that, especially when you're on the sales side of things, it's the double-edged sword, right? It's like everyone needs you to go out and find problems to solve. Because if you don't, then in essence, there are lots of roles and lots of resources that are no longer available, which means ultimately the company will not be around much longer. But let me not digress down that path. One of the things that, so you're talking about the things that you learned in corporate. You talked about customers, and I'm just curious, like as I think about the things that you were able to experience,
Mm.
right? And we talked about your trajectory. There came a certain point where you made a decision, Scott. And I see this a lot, right, with clients, because your clients they're in the corporate role already. They're considering whether or not they want to build something, create something for on their own and explore this passion that they have. But you've actually gone that route. And you got to a certain point where you said, you know what? Corporate life was good to me. I was good to corporate life. We've got a neutral relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have said, hey, listen, because we've got a neutral relationship, I can go back and do the corporate thing because I've got it pretty well mastered. Or I can go over here and start my own business thing again. Somebody's at the fork in the road, Scott, and they need to hear that they're not alone. I used to think my thoughts were the only thoughts. But if once I started talking to people or listening to podcasts or having the opportunity to listen to you, what was it about your journey that said, okay, you know what? Corporate's been great. I want to keep on this other path because I want to help other people in my own way. Can you talk to us about that?
I love these questions, Billy. My goodness. And you know what's funny? Somebody asked me this same question, but in a casual setting last night.
Oh.
They asked me about my why. So I'll talk to that very easily.
Great.
The biggest thing for me was I wanted time freedom and location independence. For those that aren't aware, management consulting pays very well.
Yep.
But you also get tethered to a lot of hours that you got to show that are billable. And even the ones that aren't billable, you're still working. So tons of benefits, very demanding. And that aspect of demand, I was like, that's cool, but I'd rather be able to travel when I want and go see my loved ones and also have the time to unplug if needed versus being chained to my desk or specifically my computer with reports due and timesheets that you got to fill out by a certain date before that police comes for you. So those are two big things. And also at a deeper personal level, I just knew that it's something I believed I could do. And I wanted to show myself that I could do and say, hey, listen, you might not have the infrastructure and all their connections and brand, but you can still help people, even if it's on a smaller scale. And being close to that aspect of really getting your hands dirty and helping someone directly and getting those smiles, that just means everything to me. And that was the biggest aspect, aside from those benefits of the time freedom and the location independence, having that personal connection with my clients, more personal, I should say, and seeing them smile and get happy, like that stuff moves me. With the big corporate stuff, you deliver crazy projects and whatever and say, okay, good, next one, we're selling and we're moving on. Because that's just it's an engine. I didn't feel the visceral win and I missed that. Okay. So when I transferred out, it was more for this, working with smaller players that needed more help and also would be more appreciative for it. Not that I necessarily needed their appreciation. I appreciated that they appreciated it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Just curious, man, because like when you're in these types of roles, you're in multiple 6-figure salaries. It's like, when I was in enterprise software and leading organization across Europe, Middle East, and Africa, or even locally here in Spain, you tend to live in a bubble, right? And the people that are around you, sometimes they are not as supportive as you think. I don't know if that happened to you. And not that they're not supportive, but it's kind of like, did you experience, hang on a second, Scott, this is great security. It's great money. It's great.
Sure.
So you did experience. So it's not just me. It's not just a few of the people. This also happens to you.
I got a mixed bag. I had some people that were just supportive of whatever endeavor I'm going to do. I got some people that just didn't understand it. And to this day, they don't understand. Like, so you're a freelancer? I'm like, no. I don't think you know what a freelancer is. I'm like, I have a corporation. Like, it's just like a bank. And I have to do the same tax returns and filings and everything. I'm just one employee. They don't get that. And then I have the others that are constantly trying to push me back. And the worst part is, and I love them, but when I'm having bad times, like a bad month, the revenues are down, they're like sending me job postings. Right. And I'm like, first of all, this is not just about the money. Yeah, that looks good. But there's something deeper and more meaningful here for me, for my purpose. Yeah. So I'm okay with losing money for a while if I can keep my purpose alive. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And they missed that. So yeah, There's definitely people that are always trying to talk me out of it. There's other support, and there's some that just don't get it, and that's okay. It's about if you get it, right? What does it mean for you, and what's going to make you happy? It can't all be hedonistic happiness. There's got to be that purpose that's driving you with healthy stress. People miss this all the time. They think there's only bad stress. There's healthy stress. Just like when you go to the gym and you dedicate yourself to spending time doing that and eating healthy and getting healthy foods, it might not be easy to do that. And it could stress you a bit, but it's a good stress that's getting you to your divine purpose, whatever you want to call it. We need that.
No, and I love that you hit on that, and it also too, like just the fact that you keep it real. Like every month is not a fantastic month. Like there are realities. Like there's things that, hey, look, there are months where you just don't get to the goals that you want, or there are months where you have to make over investment in your business for future growth and all this other kind of stuff. So, by the way, thank you for keeping that real. I appreciate that. Like it's perfect. But one thing. You've talked about it a couple of times in this conversation, and I really want to drive this home because I know it's something that it's core to who you are. You've talked about it from the different moves that you made, but talk to us about really the importance of truly understanding your client or your customer.
Yeah. Oh man, this is core. If I can step back and want to say something, it'll give this a bit more context. I'm not a sales guy, which a lot of people don't understand.
And so I was going to say, and so what exactly does that mean?
Yeah. So my background is actually from delivery. I had some big corporate jobs that got me closer to sales. I was in marketing, and I was co-responsible for the revenue. And also when you're in these big firms, partners don't give a shit what your job is. Like, you're doing this. You're going to help bring in revenue. I'm like, that's not my, do you want a job? Okay. So I have a delivery background, and why that's important is because when you're in delivery, what are you doing? You're delivering the solution to the client. Your success measure is the solutions delivered, they're happy. When I'm selling something, I'm not just trying to sell, which I don't do. The sale happens. I'm thinking, can I solve this person's problem and deliver it? That is my thinking when I'm going in. So every time I'm talking to someone, I'm a delivery mentality, right? So that is my big thing with my approach. So for me, it's all about how you approach this. And my approach, again, and not to be redundant, is really solving problems and having that hat on versus, trying to sell. I hope that answered your question. I think I might have got lost in it a bit.
Well, no. So it's two things, and there's kind of this joke, right? Because when I was in the software world, as the leading the sales is, and we have a lot of people that are enterprise software people here listening, so they get the joke that the salespeople, we tended to go out, and yes, it was important to make sure that the sale happened so that everyone had a job and we were solving problems for the clients. But the salespeople usually were selling the problems, and the delivery team was actually fixing them. That was kind of that was the thing, because you're there with the client and you're there on the like the many hours that you talked about, implementing the strategy, implementing software, making sure that what was talked about was actually delivered. So having a critical understanding of your customer is something that's really important. And so you've talked about getting closer to the client. You've talked to us about the importance of the client. And then I know what you're doing today from Growth Ignited perspective, it's really getting close to customers, helping your customers identify and solve a very specific problem. And this is a problem that usually has to do with something called an offer, I believe, right? What does that mean, Scott? So that someone as they're going down this path, that they want to understand this offer concept, and they also want to understand the reason that you've taken on this as the next big challenge for you to help others solve.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I will address that. And I'll also just realize I didn't fully answer your last question, because you were asking me about understanding the client and how I go about the importance of it. And it's critical because it's going to influence how you sell effectively and how you deliver effectively, which also comes down to managing expectations. So with what I do, offer is the foundation of it. I call the offer the nucleus of the business.
Okay.
You could do everything right, have the best delivery solution in the world. If your offer sucks, nobody's buying. Your offer needs to make it easy for them to buy. And that's why I start there. Okay. But I don't always start there, because some clients might have trouble, for example, with sales calls. So I'll say, okay, well, let me give you my system and make that a better framework that's consistent will get you to, close more sales. But even in that, the offer has to be dialed in. So you will usually have to step back. Or I have clients that approach me like, hey, I don't know how to get in the DMs. I feel awkward, feel like a robot. I have a system for that to make it feel natural, magnetic, cool. But even if you're doing that, your offer will inform some of the questions that you're going to be asking. And then you still got to sell. Yeah. So why do I say all this? Because I closely analyze my clients and my previous experience and said to myself, what's the hardest part or the least intuitive thing that holds my business back? Starting points, offers. People think, well, I do this. And they think like that's their offer. That's your headline or your pitch. That is not your offer. Your offer is what the client is considering for them to buy. Nobody's just looking at your headline and going, yeah, I'm going to buy that. That's not enough. And where's the price? An offer has to have a price tag attached to it. So people have a misunderstanding what an offer even is. Yeah. So I know they had that misunderstanding. So I expose that blind spot for them. Yeah. And that's so important because it shows them I've walked in their shoes and I understand, and I'm not wasting their time. That's why understanding is so critical. Everybody out there has access to information. It's not a matter of information. It's about what to prioritize and application, right? So this is where I'm helping people. And the foundation of it is understanding because I've done it. I struggled with DMs. I struggled with sales because I'm a delivery person. It felt up to me. So the way I do it is a way that feels comfortable and natural. So you feel like you actually want to be on the call. That came from understanding. I didn't just make this up and think, okay, what's going to look good or ask ChatGPT. I struggled with it. And then I saw other clients struggling with it. And even before I launched, I approached prospects and say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? And I got replies like, when is that launch? We need that. I was like, okay, this is a good sign. Right. So this is where it all boiled down to. So yeah, understanding is pivotal. You can't have a successful business if you don't deeply understand your customer. You might get a couple of lucky wins, but you cannot sustain it.
Yeah. And so I appreciate you giving us even more detail around the importance of understanding your customer. And then from that, how you specifically are able to understand an individual in their situation, help them to diagnose that situation, and provide them with the with what is the suggested path forward. So let's see. I think there's one other question that I want to ask you. And this question really is kind of as we start to wrap up, because I always say this selfishly, like I know I get to talk to you forever and I want to keep talking to you forever, but people got things to do. They want to run on the treadmill and do some other stuff or whatever. So I got to kind of get ready to wrap up.
Yeah.
But one of the things that happened for me, Scott, recently, right, in 2023, is something I talk about is life began to happen for me. Things that I didn't really understand that were happening, personal life, professional life. But what happened for me at that moment in time is something really important. Like I realized, because up until then, pretty much everything I did was like turned to gold or platinum or something like that, right? But I realized that there are moments in life and there are moments where you're like really, really, you're on top of the world and you don't appreciate those moments because you're on top of the world. Like everything is going perfectly. And
there's always more up.
There's always, you feel like there's always more up, right? And then there's another point but it's the opposite moment. It's the moment when things aren't going well. And sometimes it seems like those moments will never, ever, ever end. Sometimes if you're like me, you want to take the whole world on your shoulders and try to do everything yourself, because usually people come to you with their challenges and you provide the solutions. But something that happened, one, is I realized I could talk to other people and they would provide their thoughts, their feedback, their input to help me. But there was also this moment that I realized that no matter what anyone said to me, no matter what anyone was there for me, like I had to have the conversation with myself. I had to say things to myself and I had to take action. But it all started with a thought. And so it's really about helping anyone who's on this path, especially not really the high moments, because those take care of themselves, but it's the moments when it's the lowest moment. And I want you to think about Scott 3 years from now, right? And you and I both know that there's going to be some moment that's a low moment. Don't know what it is. Don't know what it could be made of, but you're going to be in that low moment, right? What is the message that you need to say to yourself that's going to help you go through that moment and be able to look back and go, you know what? Scott, I'm glad I said this to myself. What's that one thing that you want to share with yourself and a whole bunch of other people around the world that are listening?
Wow. I feel like I need to come back and answer this another time to make sure I got a suitable answer. But what came to mind, just full honesty, what came to mind was that you won't lose if you don't stop moving. Because it's all momentum and people get obsessed with speed, direction over speed. Who cares if you rush to a goal and you don't feel fulfilled by the goal because of how you did it, right? So to me, I always say to myself, when things go bad, and that happens a lot, I've been in some very deep, dark abysses and things weren't perfect, but I thought this probably won't be forever. Let me take it one step at a time. And then funny enough, you take it one step at a time, and growth, as you know, it's what's the word for it? It's not linear. Growth is not linear. Yeah. So you do a few steps and then boom, it explodes. Yeah. So you just need to keep your traction, keep moving forward. As slow a pace as you need to go, but just keep moving forward. You will come out of it. You'll be back in it later too. Yeah. But then you get more resilient at it. So having fallen so many times, I don't panic as much. I still have my panic times because I know if I keep moving, I'll get back there. You won't stay stuck forever. Yeah. It's just a matter of keep moving forward. You will stay stuck if you just focus on where you're at now, thinking that this is it. You will die in that spot. Yeah. Focus on what's ahead of you. Take us one step at a time. You're going to get there. It's a matter of time.
Yeah, absolutely love that. So, you won't lose if you don't stop moving. It makes me think about the very beginning of our conversation. And Scott, you're talking to us about just understanding yourself and whether that was starting in the public sector and you realize like, you know what, I like this, but I got to be closer to the action. And so you went from a really successful public service career to, well, then moving into the private sector, big private sector company. And you said, hey, you know what, this is cool. I like this. And at the same time, I feel like I'm kind of stuck in this silo. I need to do something where I can kind of go across silos. And so you found the same private sector, but boutique, smaller, where you could have more impact is the thing that you really wanted to be able to see. Not just being able to recognize that there was an issue, being able to provide the solution and also be able to see that solution through and recognize the positive impact that it was having on others, because that continued to give you even more of a way to understand your customer, right? And so as you look to understand your customer, you went through the corporate thing. You said, you know what? I actually want to do this on my own. And so you decided to do it on your own. And two factors came into play. There was luck and focus, as you said, right? It wasn't luck and focus that you got started there, but the way that the growth happened so quickly was because you were in the right place, the right time, and you had the right focus. You were thinking about your customer. You got to a point where you said, hey, listen, I'm going to continue to help my customers because I know that they want to continue to grow. You're going to help them to ignite the growth. And therefore, you're continuing to do that in a way that helps solopreneurs, service-based solopreneurs continue to grow. And you're helping your customers realize the goals and the dreams that they want to be able to do. And so when you're doing that with your clients, and now you're part of the Going Long family, so many people are like, yeah, Billy, just ask him the question because I get all wrapped up in the conversation, So Scott, help us out. What is the best way for the Going Long family to find out more about you, what you have going on at Growth United so that so we can stay in touch?
Yeah. So, LinkedIn's always a good way to get a hold of me. So linkedin.com/in/Scott Bryan, Bryan with a Y, the proper way to spell it. Of course, there's growthignited.com, so growth-ignited.com, but I'm always on LinkedIn, so it's the quickest way to get a hold of me, or Scott at growth-ignited.com. Those are probably the best ways, email or LinkedIn. So be more than happy to hear from folks, even just have discussions. I'm pretty transparent, open, receptive guy. And Billy, you're very
transparent. You're very transparent. Not pretty, very transparent.
Maybe to a flaw. Billy. But it's often works well. Often. Yeah. One thing I would say, just to add to what you were mentioning before with your recap, which I love, and about the luck and focus. And I just listened to sort of a video about this and how luck can be engineered. And one of the takeaways I got from it was that when you're consistently out there, you put yourself out there, you're now able to access luck when you're prepared.
There you go.
People think, I got to be out there to take my shot. You might miss that shot, but it's not all done because now other shots become available or other people who want to shoot for you. that you will never see if you're not out there and prepared.
There you go.
So the luck is preparation and willingness, and then you can access opportunities.
Yeah.
Half the opportunities I've had, and Billy, I'm sure it's the same for you, they're not stuff I imagined of proactively in advance. I was like, oh, I can do this too?
Yeah.
Woof, let's go. So you got to be out there. That's the luck I'm talking about, not some type of woo-woo thing. It's
love that. You create it. You create it. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Absolutely. So, like I say, Scott, Growth Ignited, and the thing that I will ask of the Going Long family, because you mentioned LinkedIn, and I'm a stickler on this kind of LinkedIn thing. I know about that. When you reach out to Scott, and this is for the Going Long family, when you reach out to Scott, please make sure that you leave him a direct, personalized message. Let Scott know that you have already invested time watching the two of us have a conversation as you are a fly on the wall. It's going to help you and Scott continue the conversation in a way that you have a common ground. So please, that was my one ask for the Going Long family. Make sure you leave him a personalized invitation on LinkedIn. Scott, I do want to say from the bottom of my heart, man, I really appreciate you deciding to invest your time with me and then Going Long family today. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I love being here. Thanks for having me. This was an amazing experience. It just felt so natural. Like we're just having a chat. I really hope this will benefit your clients, but this was phenomenal, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And Going Long family, thank you very much. And look forward to seeing you and hearing from you on the next episode. Ciao, ciao.